What's going on, guys? You're listening to The Engine on YouTube. We've got another top 50 NBA players of all time list for you guys today. Johnny Fogel, Nick Folk, Nick Friedman. We've got 30 to 31 plus one extra because we forgot to add them into the list. We'll get into that in a second. If you guys want to go check out the Jason Benetti and Chauncey Billups interviews, we've been making a lot of noise with the interviews lately. Wanted to slow it down a little bit, get back into another series. A lot of you guys are liking the videos or viewing them, but you're not subscribing. But, it would really help if you guys subscribe to the channel. That would really help. Also, like the videos. That also helps. Just, it's easy. It's quick, even if you don't get to the end of the video. But if you do get to the end of the video, thank you so much. But with that all being said, we're going to get into – we made a little mistake. Or I guess, Nick Freeman, you can explain what happened when we were making the list.
Quick disclaimer. So today we're doing 30 to 21. Last week we did 40 to 31. Check that out. But we did forget some kid, longtime NBA point guard, really good passer, great defender. We're going to get to the list, though. Just pointing that out for anyone who was confused why Jason Kidd didn't make the list.
So sorry, biggest Jason Kidd fans of all time. We're sorry. We made a note of it. But let's get into it. First guy on the list, Nick Folk. Take it away.
All right, number 30, Kawhi Leonard. Still plays in the NBA now. 4-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champ, 5-time All-Defensive, 2-time Finals MVP, and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. It's amazing to me how everyone just completely forgot how amazing that Raptors run was last year. It was just, since he left, everyone's forgetting about it. I think as time goes by, people will start to appreciate that, and he's towards the top and maybe all-time great of defensive players. Definitely the best defensive player in his era. Mm-hmm. So I think he's honestly even a little low on this list for me.
Falk, I think it's really interesting because I thought the same thing. Because do you guys remember Anthony Davis just refused to play when he wanted to be traded? So I forgot how good Anthony Davis was this year once he started to play for the Lakers, and I was like, oh my God, Anthony Davis is amazing. Everybody forgot. Kawhi Leonard was gone for a year, so when he came back, everybody was like, I forgot how good Kawhi Leonard was. Actual highway robbery that Charles Barkley is higher on the list than Kawhi Leonard. Charles Barkley never won the finals. I know they're different positions, but Kawhi Leonard is an absolute machine. His playoff run for the Raptors was unbelievable. He's a 2-time champion. He's, like you said, I think he's the best two-way player, one of the best two-way players in the history of the sport. Kawhi Leonard is an absolute unbelievable wrecking ball. And when it comes to the playoffs, he was virtually unstoppable.
I'm just going to be straight with you. You guys had him higher than me. I don't disagree with it necessarily. But being real, Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, has had 2 years where he's been relevant as an all-time player, this year and last year. Before that, he was a really great two-way player with the Spurs, amazing defender, and maybe he was a superstar, but he took his time off with Pop, or he had that whole year off, and as Johnny said, we forgot about him. He only has 4 All-Stars. Like, looking back, he's probably one of the most talented players ever. He had one of the best championship runs in the history. The reason I had him lower, though, is just the sample size is a lot lower than these bona fide superstars who did it for 10 years.
I think it's unfair to say that because even though some of them might have 3 more All-Star games, he's still been really, really good. He's still at the top of his...
No. He hasn't been really good. He's been great. He's been transcendently great, especially in the playoffs. He was unbelievable.
So I think it's not 3 more All-Star games. It's 8 more All-Star games. It's 10 more.
I honestly don't care about All-Star games at all. Like I don't care about All-Star games.
As a superstar, he's been amazing, but he's lower on my list because he just hasn't proven it for as long as another player. If he got injured today and never played another game, I don't think you could have him.
Nick Freeman, can you honestly tell me that Charles Barkley's best is better than Kawhi Leonard's best?
Charles Barkley did it for 15 years.
He didn't win a single championship. Kawhi Leonard's already won 2 in under 15.
He didn't have to play Jordan.
I personally had Barkley ahead. I don't think it's absurd to put Barkley above Kawhi, but I just think Kawhi deserves more credit for his championships. And even though he hasn't exactly had a long career like some of these other guys, the championships are just amazing. That's why I had him up here.
Well, moving on to number 29, the Bombardier from Baton Rouge, Bob Pettitt, a player who I've actually never seen play. 26 and 16 all-time stats. Those are unbelievable numbers. 11-time All-Star, never won a championship. I'm not going to lie, either Knicks. We haven't seen him play. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. Looked like he had a really good career, really good stats. One time he averaged 29 points and 16 boards in a season, but let's move on. Let's not lie. Isaiah Thomas, number 28, Nick Freeman.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas, over his career, just consistently was averaging in the low 20s per game. Always made the All-Star team. He was obviously snubbed from the Dream Team, which still doesn't make sense. But the reason I have Isaiah Thomas higher on my list than 28 is just because through his career, he was the leader on those Pistons teams. On those Bad Boys teams, they beat Jordan. They beat Magic. In that kind of era switch between the 80s and the 90s, the Bad Boys were the team to beat. And I just think a two-time NBA champ in that era, great defender, amazing passer, should be higher on this list. Now, I'm just going to say it how it is. Nick and I both have Isaiah Thomas in our mid-20s. Scottie has him in his mid-40s. I don't understand that at all. Can you explain it?
Oh my God. I really I'm not the first person who's come up with this comparison, and I'm definitely not gonna be the last. Probably, I hope not. I've seen him on a lot of lists where people just said he's like overrated, and I don't disagree with that. I think talent wise, I'm not doubting you. I think he's a really talented player. I'd say he's one of, if not the best ball handler, like with right, left hands we've ever seen. I compare him so much to Kyrie Irving. That's the comparison I'm talking about. You guys don't really like Kyrie Irving that much, but I compare him to Kyrie Irving a lot. Yeah, you hate Kyrie Irving, and 19 points a game is unbelievable. 9 assists a game is unbelievable. That's his overall stats. But the thing with Isaiah Thomas is I can't put a finger on it. I just don't see what you guys see, I guess.
Okay,
I kind of want to hear what you have to say, because I just don't see what you guys see.
A really important thing with Isaiah Thomas is everyone hates Isaiah Thomas, and I personally hate Isaiah Thomas.
But Falk, he's got the smile, and it frustrates me. It's like Magic Johnson.
His smile is like his smile is a little pesky smile. He's one of my most hated sports athletes like ever. I hate Isaiah Thomas.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
He probably should have won 3 NBA championships and one of the hardest times to win. He played on one of the most unique teams ever, probably the most terrifying NBA team ever.
Yeah.
And he averaged 9.3 assists and 1.9 steals over his career. That's pretty amazing. He didn't score that much, but he was a leader of just one of the craziest teams in NBA history, and I think you have to give that to him.
I can give that to him.
I love myself some Isaiah Thomas. He was a tough player. You hated going against him. Also, I met him at an airport once.
That's so cool.
A few times.
So that moves him up?
Yeah. But he's one of those guys. We've talked about this in the past. He puts it on offense, and you do not want to play against Isaiah Thomas. He's annoying. He trash talks. That smile, it's a mental game he's doing.
But Nick Freeman, the same thing could be said about Patrick Beverly. I don't want to play against Patrick Beverly. That guy's a bug. That's an insect. Give me some bugs. You said that you don't want to play against Isaiah Thomas. I don't want to play against Patrick Beverly either.
Do not compare Isaiah Thomas to Patrick Beverly. Do not compare the two. Okay, let's get one thing straight. The reason everyone hated the Pistons too was because they treated everyone like trash. Patrick Beverly's a great trash talker, but when the Bulls finally beat the Pistons, by the way, they whooped the Bulls' ass, but when Jordan finally hit his prime and he crushed the Pistons, they literally, no handshakes, they walked out of the game while the game was still being played.
So they're the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think we got them.
Are you calling them the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think we got the Philadelphia
Eagles.
They're worse than the Eagles.
They're worse than the Eagles.
Moving on. John Stockton, all-time assist leader. I think I had him lower than you guys did. 10-time All-Star, yeah.
I had him low too. Yeah, I had him low too. I agree with you. 10-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive, but all-time assist leader, all-time steal leader. Just when he turned on the tape, he played with 20 years with one of the most dominant players ever, in Karl Malone, who is an absolute monster, literally and figuratively. But I think it doesn't show up on tape. He's way overrated for me because the stats are there. It's just he played for 20 years with Karl Malone. That's just what I think. It goes under
the radar sometimes. I'm trying not to sound bad here. The race barrier, like a lot of people will brush like all-time great. This is not a race thing, I swear. People will brush all-time great like white passing guards under like the rug for like great athletic people who are more flashy. But the thing with John Stockton that you just have to know is this guy got absolutely screwed. Like, he didn't get screwed, but he lost in the finals to Jordan. The most memorable thing about John Stockton is a loss, and that's a lot of times why we forget about John Stockton. But Who else can you think of who averaged 10.5 assists for his entire career?
No.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's unprecedented. It's unbelievable. It's
But
ridiculous.
John Stockton, the reason he's high on my list, he's not that high. Like, watch the tape. He's not better than Isaiah Thomas. That's just a tape thing. But with John Stockton, he did it for so long, and he never missed any games. All-time steal leader, all-time assist leader by far. And he had just such a long career where he picked up those accolades, even though he never won. Definitely one of the best, if not the best passer of all time.
Like, there's seasons where he was averaging 3.2 steals a game with 13.6 assists. It's actually ridiculous.
It's great. Just when you turn on a tape, it's just not there. And they went to so many playoff series. They just choked every single time. They just didn't win. So that's the reason I had him lower.
All right. Moving on to 26, Elgin Baylor, another guy who knows what it's like to choke in the finals. 0-7 all-time in the finals, but Nick Freeman loves this stat, so I'll say it for him. This guy, I don't know what year it was, played on military duty, only could play on the weekends.
And he averaged 30 points a game. That's the big part.
He averaged 30 points a game. Elgin Baylor, a beast. 38. This guy's a beast. But I had him lower on my list. I'm assuming I don't have my list in front of me than you guys did, just considering he went 0-7 in the finals. And that's my main stat.
Johnny, you had him the highest on your list.
Did I actually?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I retract that statement. I'm sorry, Elgin. I'm sorry, Elgin Baylor, but 0-7 in the finals is a lot. I'm assuming I learned that stat after I made this list, but still, that's big for me. Okay, that's big.
Yeah. Another player we haven't watched at 25, John Havlicek, one of the best scorers in NBA history, the most points on the Celtics leading scorer of all time, 8-time NBA champion, which is just ridiculous. And also one of the best defenders of all time, making the defensive team 8 times. And just he had a great long career for the Celtics.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, greatest six-man ever. 24, Charles Barkley, 11-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 1992 NBA MVP.
Hilarious. Actually hilarious.
It was not. I mean, he was pretty unstoppable. One of the greatest rebounders ever. I think Charles Barkley is right where he should be on this list.
So unstoppable that they gave him the nickname the Prince of Pizza, the incredible bulk, the leaning tower of pizza. Unbelievable. I'm not gonna say he's one of the biggest chokers in sports history because that's not doing him justice. That's not fair. He did have to play against Michael Jordan, but I stand by my point. I think Kawhi Leonard should be higher than him on this list. And even if you're going to disagree with me now, you won't disagree with me in 5 to 10 years because he will be better than Charles.
Well, in 5 to 10 years, of course, Kawhi Leonard will be higher.
100%.
But
100%.
It's different though. They're so.
You can't predict the future, so
they're so hard to compare. Of course, Kawhi's more talented, but with Charles Barkley, I think since he has such like a crazy TV personality, he's kind of seen as a joke. But he was a stud in the early 90s. He was one of the best rebounders, and he's only like 6'6".
Yeah. Just because he's 400 pounds now and is 80% body fat doesn't mean he wasn't good back then.
Whoa, 80% body fat. I'm thinking it's closer to 90. Moving on to number 23, Scottie Pippen. Here's my thing about Scottie Pippen, okay? You compare, like, there's so many Batman and Robin situations. I think he is the best Robin in the history of basketball. Like,
without a doubt.
He's the best sidekick. He had never had a problem with it. He's such a good companion. He got a championship with the Blazers. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think
he went there, then he lost.
He went there. He lost. But still, like, this guy is the definition of makes your team better. Like, you put him on your team, he makes your team better. He's great. I'm excited to hear more about him tomorrow night or Sunday night. I can't 100% remember. Tomorrow night, yeah. That's actually the same thing. Today's Saturday. I've got my dates out of order, but Scottie Pippen, you're the Bulls fan. You guys are the Bulls fans. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen, an amazing defender, and he's one of the early point forwards. I think LeBron's always going to get compared to Jordan, but he might even be like a glorified Scottie Pippen, just a 6'8", 6'9", sick athlete taking the ball up. And Scottie Pippen was such a great defender. I think he made all defensive team like 10 times or something.
That's correct, yeah.
I just think what he did next to Jordan, even if he wasn't the best player, winning those 6 NBA championships on probably the most impressive sports dynasty ever is incredible.
Yeah, he's a little low for me on this list. He's one of the greatest defenders ever, without a doubt the greatest sidekick ever. And he did it on his own a little bit when Jordan left and when he was on the Trailblazers. So I think he was overshadowed for sure. But he had just an amazing skill set. Great passer, a great all-around player, and an amazing defender.
Moving on to another great defender at 22, a more recent player who we got to see a little of, Kevin Garnett, a Timberwolves and Celtics great. Never too much on offense, but still consistently averaging around 20 and 10. Had a long career, 12-time All-Defensive Player, one of the best defenders in the 2000s, absolutely. He won an MVP in 2004 and a Defensive Player of the Year later. And then he also got that championship later. But I just think with Kevin Garnett, you would be wrong if you weren't to mention this guy. We talk about those pesky point guards you don't want to play against. Kevin Garnett will tear you apart. Probably maybe the scariest trash talker in NBA history. Amazing defender, and he's so lean. It's surprising how tough he is.
Well, scariest trash talker in modern day NBA history, but I'd say one of the most ferocious players ever. But I think, going back to the 90s, you can't really say that. But I agree with you on those points.
I think with Kevin Garnett, the thing you got to realize, and I can't pull it off the top of my head, I think he's he's the only player in the NBA history to have 25,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 5,000 assists, 2,000 steals, something like that. But he pretty much owns every single franchise record for the Timberwolves. 19,000 points. He leads them in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, double-doubles, triple-doubles, minutes, and games played. That is actually he owns pretty much every franchise record there is. That's actually ridiculous. I think he goes under the radar a lot, even though we have him pretty high on this list. But I think he goes under the radar a decent amount on a lot of people's all-time great list.
He didn't have that offensive upside that you usually see out of a superstar.
Yeah. 21. 21, Moses Malone, 13-time All-Star, 8-time All-Star, or 13-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defensive, 3-time MVP, NBA champion and Finals MVP in 1983. I honestly watched him a lot. This guy was a monster. He's kind of in a lost era of the NBA. The NBA was struggling. It was right before Bird and Magic came into the league, but he was a man against boys. He absolutely destroyed everyone. You would not want to meet this guy in an alleyway.
That's one way to put it. He is the chairman of the boards. He's Big Mo. I haven't seen a lot of footage of him playing, but this dude played for 20 years. And I honestly, even if you don't go to the Hall of Fame, even if you're not an all-time great, it's a lot to do anything for 20 straight years, especially as a professional athlete. I've got a lot of respect for him, obviously. This guy's a beast. Anybody who can average, 31 and 15, that's an unbelievable stat line for anybody, anytime in NBA history. This guy's a beast, and he deserves to be on this list.
He's a very under-recognized all-time player, amazing rebounder and defender. I just think it comes down to the era he played in. There wasn't great basketball, but he still is a big-time influential player. First NBA player to ever come straight out of high school, and he led that center thing. They had the Chamberlain, then Russell, then it was Moses Malone, and then it was all those great centers in the 90s with David Robinson and stuff. So yeah. I think he's a really influential player that goes under the radar a lot.
Yeah, Moses Malone was that era, and that era was just forgotten.
That seems like a good place to end it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe, share. If you did get this far in the video, but that would really help us out. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day. New content on the way. New interviews next week. Get excited. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.